Can you imagine paying money to drink water that glows in the dark? Sounds insane now, but in the early 1900s, Americans were drinking radioactive water on purpose. Not only that, they believed it was good for them. Doctors recommended it, celebrities endorsed it, and companies sold it by the bottle. This is the story of how radiation went from deadly science to health craze, and back again. Let's rewind to the early 20th century. X-rays had just been discovered. Scientists were experimenting with radioactivity, and suddenly, the world had a brand new, mysterious power source, one that could pass through solid objects, glow eerily, and even destroy diseases. It felt like magic. People were obsessed. Radiation wasn't feared at first. It was hyped. People thought it was the future of medicine, of energy, of health. The darker side of radiation? Almost nobody was talking about that yet. Enter something called Radioactive. Radioactive was a tiny bottle of water. Nothing fancy to look at, but it was laced with radium, a radioactive element. The label proudly claimed it contained certified radium water. It was sold as a miracle tonic. According to the ads, Radioactive could boost energy, improve libido, cure headaches, arthritis, and even depression. In other words, it was radioactive Red Bull, and people were drinking it a lot. Doctors prescribed it. Health stores carried it. Wealthy socialites and businessmen sipped it daily, thinking they were unlocking some kind of superhuman vitality. And at the center of this trend was a man named Eben Byers. Byers was a rich, well-known athlete and industrialist, kind of like an early 20th century influencer. He injured his arm in a train accident and started taking Radioactive for the pain. He didn't just take a little. He drank 3 bottles a day every day for years. At first, he said he felt great. More energy, no pain, better sleep. He started recommending it to friends. But then things got dark, fast. After a few years, his teeth started falling out. His jawbone literally began disintegrating. Doctors discovered massive radiation damage throughout his body. His skull was rotting from the inside. The man was glowing and not in a good way. Eben Byers died in 1932. His death was so horrific, so public, that it made headlines around the country. The Wall Street Journal famously wrote, "The radium water worked fine until his jaw came off. Yeah, that'll kill the vibe at your next health spa." After Byers' death, people finally started asking questions. The government stepped in. The FDA began cracking down on radioactive products. And Radioactive? It was pulled from shelves. But the truth is, radioactive health products had already been around for years. There were radium-infused toothpaste, beauty creams, chocolate bars, face masks, even underwear. One company sold a Revigator, a ceramic water jar lined with radium ore that you kept in your kitchen to make your own health water at home. And yes, people drank it daily. Why? Because radiation was still seen as cutting edge. It was new, scientific. And anything new and science-wide tends to attract people looking for the next miracle cure. Think about it. We've seen the same thing happen with fad diets, detox drinks, mystery supplements. The packaging changes, but the psychology stays the same. Of course, today we know that prolonged exposure to radioactive elements causes cancer, organ failure, and DNA damage. It's not a health boost, it's a death sentence. But back then, there were no warning labels, no long-term studies, and no one really understood how dangerous it was until it was too late. Here's the wildest part. Even after Byers' death, his body was so radioactive, they had to bury him in a lead-lined coffin. And even decades later, when his body was exhumed for tests, it was still emitting radiation. That's how far this health craze went. It took years and lots of painful, high-profile cases for Americans to finally see radioactive products for what they were: dangerous snake oil. Eventually, the FDA banned these products and the radioactive wellness industry vanished. But the story stuck around because it's one of the weirdest, most unbelievable chapters in American health history. people were literally drinking poison and paying extra for it. So the next time you see a miracle cure ad or a trendy new supplement on TikTok, maybe remember Radioactive. Remember the glowing water, the fake science, the man whose jaw fell off, and maybe read the label twice. Because if there's one thing history teaches us, it's this: just because something sounds like a miracle doesn't mean it won't melt your face off.